Lisa Gibbs, the Welsh ladies athletics team captain, told us how fit you have to be for Gladiators.
I think to compete in Gladiators, you do need to be very sporting. It's a lot of hard work, and anybody that sits there and watch it and says it's not, well, they should have a go themselves.
And with the show coming back on BBC One very, very soon, a new batch of people are going to find out for themselves just how difficult it actually is. Okay, so most of us have heard of Gladiators. We hear about that show in the 90s, but it's coming back. How big was it exactly? Well, think about it this way. Every Saturday night, around about a quarter of the UK would tune in to watch. I mean, cast your minds back, mid-90s, a Saturday evening would consist of Baywatch, Gladiators, Blind Date, go down the pub, talk about those three shows. That was pretty much it. The people that were on it were practically household names. So of the 14 million people that used to watch it regularly, only a select few were privileged enough and fit enough to actually be able to take part, which then leads to the question, well, how difficult was it? Don't ask me. I don't know. I didn't do it, but I know someone who did. Lisa, how are you?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's so good to catch up again after so many years now, because it's I think it's been about 10 years since we've spoken like face to face.
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? It's great. Good to see you.
I know. Con, it's even been a longer while since you've done Gladiators. I was thinking you did it in 1994, Series 3. That was, I don't know, we're in 2023. That's 29 years ago.
Yeah, I know. Next year, that's going to be 30 years, and that just
Grief.
It's really scary. Yeah.
It's more about just how fast time is moving at the moment. Isn't it? That's what I'm, that's what I'm finding.
Yeah, it's moving far too quickly.
I know.
It's into perspective for me. My son is now 31 years old, and he was only 2.5 to 3.
Oh my God. Yeah, I remember him in the crowd. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a long time ago.
Oh my goodness. You never know. You might be giving the new series a go.
Well, you never know. Yeah. Come on, Ridian.
Yeah. I keep saying to myself, maybe one day if I can get fit enough, I might actually try it and give it another shot.
You definitely should.
It was one of those shows that always eluded me. It was, it looked so much fun. And the reason I'm doing this, first of all, thank you, because you're literally going to talk to me about my absolute favorite game show ever. I mean, this really is. I mean, obviously, we've generally talked about Total Wipeout and Ninja Warrior, but Gladiators is the one that preceded all of that, and just the games just looks absolutely epic. So, the purpose of this is to find out, it's your sporting career, because they even mentioned on the show that you're an international athlete. What made you apply for Gladiators? Of course, it's a bit different nowadays. We apply online for stuff. This was kind of pre-internet days when you did all that. And also we'll talk about your international athletics career, like the Commonwealth Games and stuff. So that's the essence of this interview. But how did it all start? I mean, certainly from a sporting perspective, because you were very fit when you got on the show. You were like, what, 25? But you already had you were very established, athlete at this point, weren't you?
Yeah, I've been involved in athletics for quite some time by then. I first got into it. My parents were both athletes. My mother, Pamela, was an international high jumper and held the Welsh high jump record.
Oh my goodness me, right?
Yeah, she held it for quite a number of years. And my father was a brilliant steeplechaser, fell runner. He was well known for running barefoot at races as well. So so I kind of started from there. Yeah, both myself and my sister got involved. And again, my sister was a really good middle distance runner.
Right.
But wasn't so keen as time went on, so she kind of dropped out of it. But yeah, that's where it all started, really.
So basically, the whole sport just runs in your family, really, doesn't it? It's just, I mean, so literally from a little kid, you just grew up just seeing your parents competing at this high level.
Yeah, well, my dad certainly. My mum had already packed a kind of high jumping career in by then because she'd injured her back. But my dad, we used to go to Mendy Stadium, Stadium, to Cumbrae Stadium, and watch him running. So yeah, it was inherent.
Yeah. So, okay, so how old? What was your first sort of competition? Was it in school, perhaps? Was it or?
Yeah, well, we used to do obviously the school sports. So we do, I think it was 50 meters or 50 yards, whatever it was, the skipping race, the sack race, and then evolving them from representing the school to the Caerphilly school sports.
Right.
And I've got a lovely little cine film somewhere of me running in the Macon mountain races, but I did the sprint event, and at the end of the race, I actually jumped over the finish tape. So maybe that's where the hurdling began. Who knows?
Well, I suppose that was a start. I've never heard of anyone do that, because normally you're quite tired by the end and you're just going to burst through it. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was the other thing as well. I mean, I do want to get back to athletics. I tried it briefly in 2014. My goodness me, hurdles, that is not an easy thing, is it? It is deceptively, well, at least I'm saying me personally, I found it difficult. Maybe you found it easier.
Yeah, no, I think it is hard. I mean, obviously trying to run as fast as you can with 10 barriers in the way is not the easiest, and the coordination needed, the control, everything. Yeah, it is quite difficult.
Stride pattern as well, because I noticed on one clip of you in that opening intro, once you landed, you were just doing 3 steps before the next hurdle. I tried that once and I put my back out because I was overstretching too much.
Yeah. I mean, it is something that you need to kind of get the coordination going. And once you've got it, it's okay. But yeah, it can be quite difficult.
Yeah. Well, I know to sort of put it in perspective for other people, I thought it was quite amusing when I was looking at your stats for your personal bests, and the one time I did a 100-meter race in competition, on track, and I did just over 14.04, and you were quicker with hurdles over 100 meters than I am doing 100 meters without hurdles. that kind of sums things up. And you're like, your 200 meter, what was that, 25 seconds? I mean, that is...
Yeah, around that, I think. It's a long time ago, John.
Yeah, I know, yeah. So anyway, so obviously you had a pretty good, so clearly your fitness base, moving to we'll get back to the athletics in a while. Your fitness base was clearly right where it needed to be. I suppose you didn't have to do it. Did you do any special training for Gladiators, or did you just apply and go for it?
Well, no, I didn't do any particularly special training at all, really. I'll tell you what happened. I'd seen the Gladiators on the TV a couple of times.
Right.
And believe it or not, I'd not kind of watched it a lot.
Right.
But one Saturday evening, I was very sadly, some may say, going to the gym to do some weight training. And as I was walking out through the door, I just caught it on the telly as they were giving out the address. In which I remember
the montage, yeah.
Yeah, so I thought, well, that looks like quite good fun. So, so I basically just wrote to the address and and entered, and then obviously went along to the auditions once I was selected.
Yeah. Because I vaguely remember those old auditions. They was it treadmill, 800 meters at a certain pace, and then chin-ups, hand ladder, rope climb, that sort of stuff.
It was exactly that. I mean, it started off on the treadmill, and they'd set the treadmill at the speed they wanted you to keep going at. So what was happening, as you're probably well aware, people were getting flung off the back of the treadmills because they couldn't keep up with the pace. And then after you did all those things, you had a little go with the pugil stick, and then whoever got through went into a little audition room.
Right.
And the first thing they asked me to do was to sing Happy Birthday to a gladiator.
Oh, no.
This is where my confession must come in, because I'd only caught a glimpse of it on the TV a few times. I didn't know any of their names. I want to say that Nigel was there, but I can't be sure that he was. But one of them said, because I said, look, I'm too tired, I can't think of a name.
Yeah.
And they said, look, just sing Happy Birthday to Cobra. So I sang Happy Birthday to Cobra and did a little dance while I was doing it. So got out to that one.
Of course, I suppose really throwing stuff like that on you, they want to see what you're going to be like on camera, isn't it? Because it's not just about being fit, it's about looking the part on TV, because it's got to be entertaining for people, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I think as I recall, what they did, they put like a chart up on the wall underneath the camera. Right. And I think I said something along the lines of, hi, I'm Lisa, I live in Cardiff, and I'm 25 years old, and I'd love to be on the Gladiators. I'm an athlete, and you just kind of had to talk a little bit about yourself to demonstrate what you just said. Yeah.
Because I suppose really it's the same as if we watch a TV show. If someone's just sat there and sort of like, "Hi, yeah, it looks really interesting, and I can't wait to play the game." It's not gonna work. You've got to be sort of enthusiastic. It's got to be interesting for other people to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. You've got to demonstrate a level of enthusiasm, and
yeah.
Even though actually on the show it was quite scary having the microphone round up your nose.
Yeah. Also, I suppose those interviews, because I used to watch a few shows, they generally, there was no real sort of script for that, was it? The interviews, you just had to say whatever came to mind, didn't you?
Yeah, you did. And in my show, there were a few times when I have rewatched it and thought, oh, God, I cringe a bit because I really didn't know what I was saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's right.
It is quite funny though that when a microphone's put in front of you, it's amazing how much you freeze up and so like your mind just goes blank, doesn't it? And just
it does. And the thing was, I mean, the lights were quite bright, so I mean, you couldn't really see the crowd, but you knew they were there, and you knew it was going on the TV. So it was a little bit like rabbit in the headlights type situation.
Now, am I right that after you got the phone call confirming that okay, so what was the process? So with the audition, you had the interview with the producers out the back. Do you then just wait? Is it from that they make their decisions? Was that how it was done?
No, I was then invited to London. I went to London Weekend TV Studios and went up into the boardroom.
Okay.
With, again, I think it was with Nigel and Ken.
Right. This is Nigel Lithgow, yeah?
Yeah. And had an interview. They were asking me about my athletics commitments, and obviously the Commonwealth Games was coming up, and I'd been selected for the Commonwealth Games, and we were filming Gladiators in July, and then we were off to the Commonwealth Games, I think 3 or 4 weeks later. And how would that be? How would that sit? And so I just agreed that it would all be fine, and agreed to do it. So it was good.
Yeah, actually, I'll tell you what. Before we go any further, should we just show a little montage of what your time was like on the show? Let's just go to it now. This is where I have to see how good I am at doing all this techie stuff.
Let's take a look at Lisa's impressive statistics: 5'9" and 11 stone 1. 3, 2, 1. Let's play ball. Falcon brings down Rowan, but Lisa breezes past Panther. It was open, and she does it this time. There's the speed of this heptathlete, leaving them all standing.
I was relying on this game, actually, to score myself some points, and I think it's worked, yeah.
You certainly did. 12 points! Well done, Lisa!
It's 2 heptathletes together. Who'll be the winner? Neck and neck at the moment. Here they come. Jet after Rowan, Lightning after Lisa. Oh well. Lisa almost off the hand ladder, and Lightning way out of contention. A firm base on that platform. Oh, Lisa nearly loses it. Swinging wildly.
Well, you were looking for the big blow. You were looking for the killer blow each time.
Yeah, I was trying my best. She's a good athlete, so I thought she'll have good balance. She had really good balance.
Well done.
Lisa, you will go on my first whistle.
Lisa attacks the high and low beams. The Welsh women's athletics captain, a heptathlete, so she's used to tackling various disciplines. But sprints across the rolling beams and onto that strength-sapping cargo net. The zip line. Splash down. Lisa, a travelator away from the quarterfinals, does what she said she would, keeps her head up, and swings into the quarterfinals against Nikki Wyatt. What a battle that promises to be.
You don't want to do it all again, do you?
Oh, go on then.
Well done, Lisa. Another winner on the Gladiators!
That's a little trip down memory lane, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny watching it back. I've got to say that I had some bad dreams and nightmares, actually, about the Eliminator leading up to that.
Right.
I was dreaming that somebody was putting butter on the zip line handle.
Oh no!
I was just gonna get onto it and fall straight down because I wasn't really fan of heights. So that to me was it was quite scary.
Sounds like you were inventing the concept for Total Wipeout there, because that sounds like what they would do on that show.
Maybe.
You should get a cut of the profits for that one. Yeah, because do you know what? Something I've always been fascinated with. Okay, so you're used to doing 800 meters, you're doing sprint events and all this. Comparatively, how tough is the Eliminator? This is something I've genuinely never been too sure about. I mean, from a physically, how tiring is it?
Well, firstly, let's confirm I wasn't okay with doing the 800 meters because that's most heptathletes' worst nightmare. But yeah,
Event, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I trained for it. But yeah, I mean, is it the same? I mean, for me, it just looked like it was just like a load of fun, jumping over things, hanging from things, and But did it compare? No, it didn't compare to anything I did. But you needed the foundation, of the strength, the speed, the determination, and that's a big thing as well. And competitiveness. I'm very competitive, so
do you think as well the fact that you had a good sporting history, it kind of helped you deal? Was it okay? The nerves that you would have before doing an event, whether it's high jump or long jump, anything like that. Does that sort of compare to when you're about to start either Powerball, Gauntlet, or Pursuit Eliminator? Are they similar? Does it help?
Yeah, I think it helps. But if I'm honest, I think I was more nervous about the interviews after the events than I was about the events themselves. Yeah.
But did you have any personal favourite games at all? Because you did get to practice some in advance, didn't you?
Yeah, we had I believe, and again, my memory's not great because I'm getting old now, but I think we had about 3 or 4 day practice. We stayed in Birmingham, and we were able to use the facilities at the arena. We had to go, I remember practicing pyramid. Yeah. We had to go 1 go each on the eliminator. That was all we were allowed. Is that
right?
Sorry?
Yeah, so was that 1 complete go on the eliminator? Or did
yes. We basically went from start to finish on the eliminator.
Right. Yeah.
We had to go on a few of the other events.
Right.
There were a couple. I didn't realize that the middle basket in Powerball was you could score 3 points. Was it?
That's right. Yeah, 3. Yeah, as bonus. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh no.
And also, if you look up my jewel, I was holding the jewel. The pugil stick like it was a canoe paddle rather than
normally it's that sort of grip, isn't it?
Well, you're meant to give it some extra length on one end to which you can, but I held it equally at both ends like a canoe paddle, so I was just doing this the whole time. So maybe I missed out on those practices. Yeah
of course. And the other thing, those pugil sticks, because I know when I got to try them, they're you see it on TV and you think you can just stand there. How can I put it? You really have to throw your weight into each blow, don't you? Because they're quite heavy. They're about 5 or 6 kilos.
Yeah, they're really heavy. And also the helmets that they gave us for Jewel as well with the face guards, they're quite heavy as well. So you're already weighed down before you start.
Yeah. So do you find as well, because I know when I tried out once, when I got to the Jewel section, when you get whacked over the head with the stick, it's almost like you don't know where you are. It is quite a loud sort of thud, isn't it?
Yeah, it's loud. And also those helmets, again, once if you're whacked in the head, they kind of cover your eyes a bit. You can't see what the hell you're doing.
I'm just thinking, of course, a bit obscures you. You don't know where you're heading then. No. Mind you did well on that because you stayed up there, didn't you? In fact, you were given, was it Scorpio you went against on that?
Yeah, I stayed up.
Seemed to give as good as you got on that one. So what actually happened? Because you stormed through your first round, you were introduced for the quarterfinals, but then it said you got injured. What exactly happens?
Yeah,
because a lot of people had tipped you to potentially get through to the final that year. You were looking pretty sharp.
Yeah. So what happened for me was on one of the games on Pursuit, actually.
Right.
Halfway through, there's some webbed, like crisscross netting.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
I mean, eventually they changed that to people crawling under it like a cargo net, didn't they? But on my show, we had to step through it, and I had lightning chasing me. Yeah. And on the first set of netting, I went over I landed awkwardly. I went over on my foot, damaging the tendons and the ligaments. I limped through it, and I think lightning tagged me on just before I went over the last.
The plexiglass sort of wall. Yeah.
She tagged me. Yeah. Thank goodness, really, because I couldn't really run on it, and then went off to the doctor. I had an injection of painkillers, I guess, and some oral medication as well. And I think adrenaline and the help with the pain relief managed to get me through the eliminator. So but in a bad way then after, to be carried off. So
my goodness me, you would not have thought that watching the Eliminator, especially the Travelator. You did it like 5 steps up there. There was just no hesitation, and you did that injured.
I think that was probably the adrenaline.
Now, am I right that this was a month before the Commonwealth Games that year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was about. I think it was 3 weeks to a month away before we left to Canada. Yeah.
Good grief, that's a fast turnaround.
Yeah.
So effectively, then, because of that injury, did you realise after that night that you probably are not going to be able to do the next round, or was it you were hoping it would get better? Or
no, I realised that night I probably wasn't going to be able to do the next round, so so decided I would withdraw then.
Yeah. So am I right that they were a bit the selector, were they athletics, were they a bit nervous about you doing Gladiators so close to the Commonwealth Games?
Yeah, there was a big thing. I mean, in my meeting with Nigel back before at London Weekend TV Studios, that was a conversation that was had, because they didn't really want me to do it. Me being headstrong and hell bent on doing it. I was fine. I can do them both. Don't worry about it. I'll be good. So I went to the Commonwealth Games I had those 4 weeks, it was around 4 weeks to recover, which I did. I mean, my injury did heal up, and I went to the Commonwealth Games knowing that there was something lingering, if you like. It wasn't going to hold me back in my mind. So
because in the end with the Commonwealth, so we'll get to that. We'll get to that later anyway. But yeah, I was just basically just sort of saying that although it seemed like your Gladiators journey came to an end then because you couldn't do the quarterfinals. Actually, am I right that on the TV that you said that you injured yourself outside, even though it was actually on the games? Can I just? Yeah,
you can say that. I mean, we can confess.
We're allowed to now, are we?
Yeah, I mean, again, me and my pig-headedness, stubbornness, whatever, didn't want to admit that I'd actually, the Welsh athletics guys were right, and I shouldn't have done the Gladiators because it did hurt my foot doing it. So I said that I'd injured my foot falling down the steps.
Right. Yeah, so that was your get out sort of.
Sorry, Jelly.
Oops. Thing is, at least you still got to the Commonwealth. You still competed, so there was that side. But what I was going to say was that although it was a shame that we never got to, and I know a few fans of Gladiators have said they've always wondered how far you would have gone, because there were a few people that reckon that you could have potentially at least got to the semis, possibly to the finals, against Eunice. But then you did. That wasn't the end of Gladiators for you, was it? Because then the following year, the Ashes tournament came out, and you got contacted by them. What happened there exactly?
I was at home at my parents' house, and my mum called me to the phone. It was Ken Warwick from London Weekend TV from Gladiators on the phone for me. And I thought, what could this be? He was asking how fit I was feeling, how was I generally. And then he got to the crux of the matter, was would I like to come to Australia for a few weeks to be the travelling reserve for Gladiators? And I said, well, that'd be great, but why have you chosen me? And he said, we felt that you would have done better had you not got injured, and we'd like to take you along with us as the reserve. So why not? Brilliant.
That really just sort of confirms things, doesn't it? What they thought of you as well, and what a lot of fans thought as well, that you clearly were one of the absolute best that series. Probably would have held your own against a lot in future series as well, I reckon. So
it was nice to be asked. It was great, and it was a great trip. So it was good.
So am I right? So you got 2 weeks you were out in Australia for?
I think it was just over 2 weeks, but we flew. I think we flew to Sydney, and then we went on to Brisbane, to the Brisbane Entertainment Centre where it was held.
What was, out of interest, what was the atmosphere like in that arena versus Birmingham?
I mean, it was a great trip. I mean, we had a great time, socializing with the Gladiators as well. We were like one big team, even though we were the Contenders and they were the Gladiators. So
of course, was that different to what you had? Because I suppose in the UK, did you really hang around with the Gladiators at all? Or was it
No, it was all quite separate. So this was
Right.
good. We got to go to the beach. I mean, the Glads were doing some filming on the beach, and we got to go on the bus with them and be on the beach with them, and we went out for meals with them. It was just really nice. We were all one big team, really.
I'll tell you what. Should we just scroll through a couple of photos a second, just so we can give people a bit of a visual as to what actually what it was like out there? Let me. There you go. So, is this at the airport, I take it, or Australia or UK?
We just landed at Sydney Airport, and this was a group shot of the team that went. So, obviously, some of the behind-the-scenes guys, the Gladiators, and then the Contenders as well, Yeah,
because I can see, well, you got John Anderson over on the far left-hand side, far right-hand side in the Navy track. So you got Ken Warwick. You're next to Ken Warwick, aren't you?
Yes.
On the left-hand side, you got Warrior and Hunter behind you.
Yeah.
Unit. Okay, the black and white striped top at the front, that's Eunice, isn't it?
Yeah, there's Eunice, there's Jet.
Yeah.
There's Vogue, there's Lightning, there's everyone. There's Matt and there's Kerryn.
What's that? Matt Beak, yeah?
Matt Beak, yeah.
Hold on, is that okay? So, oh, wait a minute. I'm seeing. Okay, no, it's quite blurry. It's old photos, but is that Phil Campbell, Kerryn Sampey, Matt Beak? I can see it, and Wolf.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, got you. Yeah. I see.
And there's Donna in the front. Donna Darby or Donna Welsh, right down in the front next to Jet.
Is that blonde? Let's see if I can centralise this. That's the one in the centre there with the long blonde hair. Yeah, got you. Very topical at the moment, given that what do you call it? Her husband's going to be hosting the new series, and her son. So I'll be looking forward to seeing that. So now I understand this is at the hotel room, was it?
Yeah,
by the Brisbane Entertainment Centre. Who took this photo out of interest?
Wolf took this picture. Yeah, we were highlighting at the time that my legs were quite muscular, and for some reason we took a photo of them.
Right, like you do.
Like you do.
But, hey, look, it's quite a good. If you've got a gladiator saying, "Hey, you've got some muscly legs," that's quite a good compliment, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So again, I'm guessing was this outside the Entertainment Centre, or was this someplace else? But that's
this is in Sydney, I think. We got a day where we went down to Darling Harbour,
right?
Spent some time, sightseeing. We got, because we were there for 2 weeks, so we had a little look around, and this is just outside just inside Darling Harbour somewhere. I don't know where.
Excellent. Yeah. So what was that? Oh, you and Wolf. Now, which one is it? Oh, this one I noticed. I've got to ask. Who on earth is okay? So you're all standing there. Who is that doing? That is someone doing a handstand there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the lovely Roddy McKay.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
I'm impressed that he could hold that position. Although it looks like he's about to keel over. I don't know. Did he?
No, I don't think he did. I mean, he's an amazing gymnast, isn't he?
Yeah.
So.
Right. Okay. So isn't it on this one? That's another shot of Donna again, isn't it, on the right-hand side?
Donna Walsh on the end, right on the opposite end.
Am I right? Yeah. Donna was one of the cheerleaders, wasn't she? She was part of G-Force.
Part of G-Force, yeah. She's a lovely lady as well.
So, now, this was what I was going to highlight. There's some writers, you and Kerryn Sampey, isn't it? So...
Yeah, this is at the Entertainment Centre. We got to, again, have a practice, as you would expect.
Yeah.
This is just the two of us trying to bash each other.
So I suppose really you needed quite a bit of practice as well, just in case either Eunice or Kerryn got injured, and then you would have to step in, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it was really strange at the show because obviously I really, really, really wanted to get on.
Yeah.
But I don't really, really, really want one of the guys to get injured either. So it was.
That's a good point. It's a bit of a mixed bag, isn't it? I understand the frustration of sitting and watch people do the stuff that you want to do, but in order for you to get that, you got to, And
I was sat in a room at the back in my kit, ready. So even though on some of the shows I was in the audience watching, they were the shows where the two girls, Eunice and Kerryn, wouldn't have been in. So I was generally sat at the back in my kit, watching the screen, waiting for the nod. And I know at one point it might have been Eunice. I can't remember. One of the girls went down on one of the events, and I stood up and I was starting to do some stretching. And then luckily for them, not for me, they managed to get up and they were fine to carry on.
Oh, Was that Kerryn? I think it was. I've got a feeling it was Kerryn on one. I'm sure there's something she got winded either on Pyramid or
possibly.
Yeah,
again, I don't really remember, but
yeah.
one of them
Yeah.
possibly was Kerryn. Yeah, so yes, limbered up, stretched, and then sat back down in my chair.
Yeah. So do you know what? You just reminded me of something, and I haven't asked you this beforehand. Generally, we never saw contenders go back on the domestic series again. Were you allowed to apply again, or was it generally not allowed? Because did you ever want to like give the UK version another crack?
No, I think I moved off to Australia not too long after all of that.
Right.
So I think it kind of fizzled out for me a bit, but also, as far as I was aware, if you were injured doing a show, you weren't able to come back. I think in the case of my opponent, Rowan, I think she had food poisoning, I believe.
That's right, yes.
So it was a whole different thing, and she was able to come back. But that's how I understand the rules to have sat at the time.
Right. So even though, according to the TV show, you got injured outside, because you actually got injured in the games, that kind of rules you out of... Okay, I get you. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So... Obviously, okay, so from the Gladiator side of things, now there's your international career and the Commonwealth. So you going back to 94, you did Gladiators, you had this injury, but then you were the women's captain going out to, was it Canada that year, the Commonwealths, or?
Yeah, it was Victoria, Canada.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you find that whole experience? Because was that have you been to any other Commonwealths besides that, or was that the main?
No, I hadn't been to any of the Commonwealth Games. So it was it was a lovely experience. I mean, everybody in Canada was so warm and welcoming. It was just lovely, you know. My preparation, apart from the foot problem, had started to go really well.
Right.
I felt that I'd overcome the injury, and had to have a meeting with my coach before I went to double check that I was definitely okay to go.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want people taking the place of a fit person who could have gone.
Right, I see. Yeah.
Because places were limited, you see. But so it was all going really well. Preparation was going well. And then 2 days before my competition, I was long jumping. And as I took off on the board, my foot I went over on my foot, and it kind of reignited the issue then, if you like. And then I went into the first heptathlon event, the hurdles, carrying the said injury. So wasn't great.
Because what's it with heptathlon? Because I know I remember watching like Denise, or no, Denise Lewis, London 2012, Jess Ennis. It's 100 hurdles is the first event. Second one, what's the order of events? Yeah,
we did the 100 hurdles first, the shot, the high jump, and then the 200, and that's the first day. And then the second day is the long jump, the javelin, and the 800 meters.
Oh, the lovely 800 meters.
The lovely 800 meters.
Yeah. So, because am I right? Afterwards, you did the day one of competing out there, and was this injury then really starting to flare up, and it got a bit too?
Yeah. Well, as I said, it flared up 2 days before the 3 weeks before the competition. Ran the hurdles. I mean, I didn't run a brilliant time. It was okay.
Yeah.
My performances were really kind of substandard, really. And then the 200 meters, I would just describe it as running like a sack of potatoes, because it was awful. And then I dropped out. It was very upsetting at the time, and it was. But these things happen.
I know. Do you know what? I mean, I had it in a race once where I couldn't finish it, and it's just you've just got that sinking feeling, isn't it? It's like you feel like you've done all the training, everything you can, and then just that tiny little thing can just derail it.
Yeah, but I also feel, I suppose, like I'd let Delic down, who was the team manager at the time. I'd let my parents down. I'd let everybody down. It was kind of this big weight on my shoulders, if you like. And it took quite a while for me to get over it as well.
Do you find as well that when you're training for something sort of major, there is that come down afterwards? Because there's so much that goes into it. You're so focused on that one sort of point. It's that I don't know, with me, I've just found after a couple of big events, my mind just goes walkabout for a while, and I'm just like, my body's on shutdown, as it were.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. I mean, I know now for sports people, there's a lot of help, psychological help about going back to those times. There probably wasn't that help.
No.
And it is a massive come down. You know, what do you do next? You know, and I think athletes can have quite addictive personalities as well, where they crave to do the next big thing, you know. And so it was a big come down, and as I said, because I had to withdraw, it was really quite upsetting as well. So double whammy.
But of course, I suppose, I mean, at least, well, I mean, you went out onto the main sort of stadium, didn't you? Sort of like, you know, opening ceremony, all that sort of stuff. So again, that must be different to your typical, you know, competition, because you don't get that in most events, do you? Certainly. It's all right. Shall I just call up a couple of pictures just to give people a bit of a visual on this?
Well, I mean, I've got to do the opening and the closing ceremonies, and it's a lovely,
really? Yeah.
It's a lovely thing to do, to walk around, you know, with the Welsh team with your uniform on, and the flag bearer there, and we're all walking behind him, and it was amazing. It brings you out in goosebumps when you're doing it, because it is a lovely feeling. But it's great. Oh,
I can imagine, because this picture was your kit from the '94 Commonwealths, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
That is the one. Yeah. So, oops, no, that was different competition. I got these in the wrong order.
That's okay.
So this was okay. Who's in this? That's next to you.
We got the team doctor on the left there, and then we got Kevin, who's the boxer, who was the flag carrier for Wales.
Right. Yeah.
And then we got Kathy next to him, Hayley in the middle, and then myself.
Right. What events? Because obviously you did heptathlon. What were they doing?
Hayley was she was doing the marathon or half marathon, and Kathy was doing the 800 meters, the middle distances.
Right. 800 meter is a pain.
Yeah, it's not my favorite.
Yeah. I think So this is actually what the opening ceremony looked like, wasn't it? So you were at some point down on track, carrying the flag. That sort of thing, in all your blazers and stuff, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. So I think actually, John, this could be I think this is the closing ceremony.
Oh, okay, right, sorry, my mistake.
A similar thing with a big crowd and the flags and all the razzmatazz, you know, really good. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
I'm just looking, competing with those sort of crowds. I mean, was this the biggest crowd that you'd ever competed in front of before?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what the crowd in Gladiators was like, but
it's about 7,000 in the arena. Yeah. That looks more than 7,000 there.
Yeah, and also you could see these people, whereas in the Gladiators you couldn't really see the crowd because the lights were so bright.
It's almost sort of Yeah. I see what you mean.
Yeah. So it's funny though. You talk about sort of the Commonwealth Games on one hand and the Gladiators on the other hand. And it's amazing how many people I talk to want to know everything about the Gladiators. Yeah. You know, that's always the main thing. Oh, wow, you were on the Gladiators. Like, well, I went to Commonwealth Games as well, but Gladiators, you know.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because you spent years, in training. All your career was leading up to that, and then the Gladiators, that looks fun, I'll apply for that. And like you said, that gets talked about more. But then I suppose this leads into the thing that we lived in a different era then. I mean, to have 14 million watching a TV show, we don't get those viewing figures nowadays. No.
They're pretty incredible figures, aren't they? You're right. Yeah. Because we were limited to the 4 channels. So
exactly. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, back then we didn't even have Channel 5, did we?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so for anyone watching, I'll give you an idea. We didn't mobile phone didn't really exist. Well, maybe a couple of people having smartphones, definitely not. Internet, it was really early days back then. I think the first time I saw the internet was like in 95. And it was like everything was snail pace at low. You imagine a picture on the internet, it would just like take hours trying to do that. It was just a different time period, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, it puts it into perspective that I wrote to the show to apply. Like you said at the beginning, I didn't apply online like you would now. It was just get your pencil out and on your slate.
Of course. Am I right that for the to get your audition spot, they probably would have sent a letter in the post, maybe, to invite you to an audition, that sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I got the letters upstairs somewhere, but a letter arrived, you know.
Do you know, I think I've got one buried somewhere. I haven't found it in years. I know I've got an empty application form that I never filled out. This was back in 96. I just wanted to see what the application looked like, so I just sent off for it. But I know one of the years that I applied, I did have a letter and it had LWT on it. Yeah. And it's just, I know it's around somewhere, but I still haven't found it now for about 10, 15 years. But it's amazing how, it shows how popular the show is. The fact it's coming back now and you still get people asking you after all this time about it. So
yeah, I
a
mean,
lot of
it's funny as well. My husband thinks it's hysterical. That is it called a GIF or a Giphy? A GIF?
oh yeah, get those animated sort of thing. Yeah.
There's a Giphy with me on there with my doing Powerball with my shorts being
Oh,
pulled
yeah.
down continuously on
Oh,
the loop.
that's right, because didn't
That's
they?
hysterical.
You got grabbed at one point, and it's like a cartoon sort of type thing, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yeah, that's why he keeps.
Do you know what? I saw that on your profile recently. I'm gonna have to see what I have to type in order to get that. I don't know if I type in Gladiators or if I don't know. I'll see. I'll try and find it. I'll try and figure out what the search term is to get it. So, okay, just one thing. What sort of advice would you give to people going for the new series now? I mean, you've been there and done it. Anything you would sort of suggest to them, like how to approach the games, that anything like that, or?
Well, firstly, I would say take notice of the rules, unlike
Yes,
me.
right. Yeah.
So if they give you any literature to read about it, make sure you know all the rules and the best way to score all the points you can.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
Secondly, we just, as these people will be, I'm sure anyway, just remain focused, confident. Don't let anybody knock your thought process.
Yeah.
And just go for it, If you've got that far, if you're actually on there, then you can do well.
So do you generally reckon that if they pick people to go on the show, pretty much anyone could be capable of doing it, but of doing well on it? But do you think mindset comes into it quite a lot? You've got to have the right approach tackling each of the games, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the mindset is a massive, like in sport, I mean, it's a massive percentage of the game, isn't it? The mindset. And I mean, you look at Eunice, for example, her mindset was amazing. She was just so robotic and focused, and she was doing this regardless, she had a really good mindset. So yeah, I think it's really, really important.
Yeah. So no, that's good. Look, I just want to say, thanks ever so much for taking the time, talking about all this. I was going to say just quickly, because we briefly mentioned it. You were actually on BBC early this year, just for a brief section on this Legends of Welsh Sport. Is it? I'm going to say her name wrong. Delith Prothero.
Yeah, Delith.
I said it right. Okay, so if anyone, go on.
Delith was our team manager at the Commonwealth Games, so that was on.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to search on BBC iPlayer, it's called Legends of Welsh Sport Series 2, and it's the one featuring Delith. But if they search that, because quite a few different athletes in there, Ewan Thomas, Jamie Bolch, yourself, Colin Jackson, all giving you views of sort of Delith. So if they want to see you sort of cameo, you do pop up a few times on this, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Am I right? You guys used to refer to her as Mum or something, didn't you? Or
yeah, she was great. I mean, Delith's great. I mean, we're still in contact now, but she was just great with us all. I mean, she had to put up with a lot of nonsense, as you can imagine. We were all in our early 20s, and we were a bit of a handful.
Yeah.
So thank you, Delith. Well done.
Yeah, because am I right? Just very quickly before we wrap up, that the likes that you trained with back in the day, am I right? It was Jamie Bolch, Ewan Thomas, Linford Christie, Colin Jackson. Those are the sort of ones that you used to hang around with and train with, didn't you? Or
yeah, some of those. I mean, I was in the training group with Malcolm Arnold, so I would train with Colin Jackson, Nigel Walker, Paul Gray, Sally Ann Short. There was a group of really good athletes training together.
Yeah.
I was friends, obviously, with the rest of them. I took part in a fitness video called the S Plan with Colin and Linford and Bethan Edwards, a really brilliant hurdler.
Right.
And I was in the Welsh team with Jamie, Ewan, and the rest of the guys. So yeah, it was just a really good time to be involved in athletics.
It felt like a bit of a golden era.
Yeah, it was
really. I do miss those days. In fact, you mentioned about that thing with Linford. I'm going to go to this now. Have got a photo of this. Is this this is the correct one, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the day that we filmed at the athletic stadium, and we were filming just the different exercises that we could do to help people, become good at sport. Really, just general fitness and stuff.
Oh, excellent! Yeah, I've met Linford once, and I got to be honest, I was a bit starstruck when I met him, because like growing up, just watching him tear up the 100 meters was just absolutely incredible.
He was
So,
amazing. Yeah.
It must be nice just having all these memories to look back on and just the stuff that you've done, over the years.
Yeah, I'm just glad I've got the photos, John, because
Yeah.
because I sometimes actually forget the moments as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Actually, speaking of one moment, if I can go to it quickly, what's the story with this? Because I came across one with you and Vinnie Jones. Please explain.
Oh yeah, this is nothing. This is just the Welsh Sports Personality of the Year awards,
Right.
That were held in Cardiff one year, and
Okay.
people were just having photographs taken with everyone, and this is
Right.
just me and my pal Vinnie.
Oh yeah, that's it. Just you and Vinnie hanging out as you do. Yes. Oh, you just gave him a quick call. Vinnie, what are you up to tonight? Fancy a drink? Yeah, come on, we're all going out. Oh god. Look, Lisa, thank you so much for chatting. It's been great catching up, but also, I mean, even though I've known you for a few years, there's been quite a few things that I've never asked you about Gladiators. And of course, I mean, with me, that show is, well, yeah, it's still my all-time favorite out of everything. I know people would think I'd be keen on another show, but no, Gladiators still trumps all of them. It's
no, it's an amazing show, and I just wish I was young enough and fit enough to apply, but
yeah,
I'm not.
Oh, you could still do it. Look, there are people that look at Ninja Warrior, right? There is a guy, Nigel Lehman, 59 years old, and he's still tearing up the course. This past series, he did the warped wall, everything. So there's still hope for us, Yeah, that's what I keep telling myself. I keep thinking, no, come on, I can still do this.
You maybe, but not me.
I don't know. I got to start getting to the gym a little bit more often. I'm sort of getting to the gym, but not quite often enough. I've just got to, work on that side of things. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, me attempting. If I was to attempt it next year, I'd be 49, so I'd be nearly twice the age of most of the contenders. What's the worst that could go wrong?
Go for it. If you're feeling fit and healthy, just go for it.
I'll come back with my arms and legs snapped off or something.
Oh, God.
Let's hope not, but yeah. Oh God, Lisa, thanks so much. Thanks so much for taking the time. It's been great catching up, but also talking about your athletics, Gladiators, the Ashes, all sorts. It's been it's been great. So to everyone else watching, thanks for watching. Ideally, do you know what? I mean, because I know a couple other people, it'd be nice to sort of get a couple other people who've been on Gladiators as well and sort of get their viewpoints. But no, I was fascinated with you because you're one of the few people that have got to experience Gladiators in 2 different countries. I mean, God, getting on the show once is one thing, but you saw it in Australia and the UK. So you're in quite a unique position there. And you were involved when the show was at the absolute peak. I mean, I think your series had the highest viewing figures of the lot. So, it's a good thing to be part of. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, John.
That's okay. All right. Well, look, Lisa, thanks ever so much. And we'll talk soon.
We will, indeed. All right. Thanks, lovely.
All right. Thank you.